Namaskar and good evening, everybody. I welcome all of you to this Sunday webinar of Philosophy Family. Well, today's program is a bit different from the other Sunday webinars in a sense that we have 3 PhD scholars who are working for their doctoral degrees in different universities of the country. We have with us Kheya. She will be speaking on practical Vedanta. She is from North Bengal University, West Bengal. And we have with us Miss, Kheya. She is a bit known to Philosophy Family now because she is coordinating in the Saturday webinar on Isha Upanishad. So I don't think further introduction is needed for Kheya. Well, Ms. Kasmira Murmu, she has presented a paper earlier in Philosophy Family. She will be speaking on Nishkama Karma. She's a PhD scholar and also she's a faculty in Revansa University, a permanent faculty in Revansa University. Recently, she got the job there. So I wish her all the best. And we have with us Ankita Sharma from Punjabi University, Patiala, PhD scholar. She will be speaking on women inequality and menstruation, the cultural, religious, and the social perspectives. Okay, a new dimension. Let's discuss things. Well, areas that we should focus on. Well, good. So we have 3. Mute yourself because it is creating unnecessary noise. Bunny pressure. Yes. Now, Kheya, please. You may start, please.
Thank you. Namaste. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. A very good evening to all the respected dignitaries, to my respected guide, Dr. Pramod Kumar Das sir, and my dear friends present today. Today, the topic of my discussion is practical Vedanta. Before beginning the discussion, let us have a look in the present scenario. It is December, right? And I hope that you all are enjoying this chilling weather. But is it that much chilling like before? I think we all already understood that we all can feel the effects, the side effects of global warming today. That it is December, but it does feel that much cold like it used to before when we were a child, right? So we are facing through some crisis today, which we cannot deny. And this environmental crisis, along with the rapid increase of mental and physical health crisis, the pandemics, etc., all this, what they indicate, what all of them are indicating today. These all are indicating to the fact that due to our ignorance, we are losing the balance and harmony in every sphere of our life. Hence, if we observe closely, then we will find a cry for a life of knowledge and harmony and inner strength everywhere. Just like after the whole day, after lots of adventure, all the birds return to their nests in the evening, right? I think after all these investigations and lots of discoveries, I think it is the time for us also to return to our home, to return to our nests. That is the Vedanta. In the practical Vedanta, Swami Vivekananda is beautifully showing that how Vedanta is out and out practical as philosophy of life and action, and also as the most practical religion. So we will try to understand the core teachings of Vedanta from the following Swami Vivekananda today. So let us begin with the very terminology of my topic, that is Vedanta. What this word stands for? Vedanta means the end of the Vedas, the end portion of the Vedas. It consists of the texts which treat the spiritual matters apart from the ceremonials, right? And what the word practical stands for? Swami Vivekananda is saying that the word practical stands for of its being practicable in our day-to-day life. And according to Swami Vivekananda, it is very, very beautifully he said it, and this is the main point here. So be careful while listening it. Swami Vivekananda is saying that the theory, which is absolutely impracticable, is of no use, is of no value. That is only a mere intellectual gymnastic. Hence, in his practical Vedanta, Swami Vivekananda is trying to show us that how Vedanta is not a mere intellectual gymnastic, or it is not a mere theory, but it is something which is out and out practical. Let us see how. We see that among many chefs, only few can cook extra delicious, right? And what makes the difference? Among the chefs, in the case of chefs, some of them know the secret ingredients maybe, or some of them know the very special way of cooking, some unique way of cooking, right? A recipe. And Vedanta is here showing that though we all work throughout our life, but there is a secret of work, secret of action also. And what is it? The Vedanta is showing that the secret is intense activity, but in the midst of it remains eternal calmness, to attain which is the goal of the Vedanta. Right? And according to Swami Vivekananda, this attitude of action, he is calling it real activity. And now, what is real activity then? He is, first of all, he is saying negatively, he is defining real activity negatively. He is saying that first of all, real activity is not inactivity, right? And secondly, real activity is not the activity which is inspired or influenced by some desires or passions. Then what is the positive definition of real activity according to Swami Vivekananda? He is saying that real activity is the desireless activity, first of all, which is combined with the eternal calmness of mind which is unruffled, the balance of mind which cannot be disturbed no matter what happens. Now, whenever we listen the word of desireless action, it sounds like a myth to us, right? We think that no action without desire is possible. But Swamiji is saying that if we observe closely, then we will find that we focus our best, we work our best when the desires and passions move away from our side. Just like the sun shines his best when the clouds move away, when there's no cloud to hide him, right? And similarly, Swamiji is saying, like he's beautifully pointing out, that is why that the lesser the passion is there, the better we work. The calmer we are, the better for us, the more the amount of work we can do. So we can see that if we know, if we learn, and if we can practice this attitude of real activity in our day-to-day life, then we can get the most out of our action, the most out of our time and energy, wherever we will put it, in whatever action we will put it, right, in our day-to-day life. Now let us come to the second point, that is, Swamiji secondly is showing that Vedanta is intensely practical as a religion also. How? Vedanta as a religion is teaching us mainly two ideals. One is the ideal of oneness, or the ideal of unity of everything, or the solidarity of all existence. And secondly, it is teaching the ideal of having tremendous faith in one's self. If we follow the Isha Upanishad, the very first verse of it begins thus: Isha sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. What this sloka is saying? It is saying that this whole world is covered by the same Lord. And how is it? Let us take an example. Let us take a metaphor to understand this fact. It's like a mother creates a beautiful garland by arranging different flowers, various sorts of flowers, by putting them and arranging them beautifully in one thread. Okay. Similarly, the Vedanta is pointing out that one subtle thread or one subtle principle which is combining and which is holding the whole universe, being in and through every unit of it. Again, the Ishopanishad in the seventh sloka, it is saying, Sarvani Bhutani Atmaiva Bhut. That is, the Brahman has become all this. Here, Vivekananda is using a very beautiful metaphor. He is saying that whatever ornament we make out of a golden biscuit, it is nothing but gold, right? Similarly, since the Brahman has become all this, then everything, every unit of this universe is nothing but Brahman itself. And what is my position here? Who am I? What is my position in this universe? In reply, the Vedanta says, so aham asmi, that is, I am he, I am the Brahman. Just like the waves are not different from the ocean, we are not separate from the Brahman, we are the Brahman. And here, please follow minutely here, Swamiji beautifully is saying that the previous religions, the past religions, said that one who does not believe in God is called an atheist, and the new religion, that is the Vedanta, it is saying that one who does not believe in himself is an atheist. So we find that it is the Vedanta which is pointing out to us and telling us that you are not weak or miserable, but you are someone, you are the pure one, you are the Almighty. Arise and awake. It is saying again and again, Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata. And when we compare the Vedanta with other religions, what we find? Vivekananda is beautifully pointing out that in case of other religions, it is they point out to us the weakness of human beings, and they call us sinners. But when we come to Vedanta, it is pointing out, or it is showing us our strength instead. The Vedanta is saying that as dirt cannot be cleaned by dirt, by more dirt, right? As darkness cannot be removed by darkness, so we cannot remove weakness by weakness. The human beings may be asked that, aren't we weak? Isn't there any weakness? Because we feel weak sometimes, indeed. And the Vedanta in reply says that even if there is weakness in you, even if you feel weak, but by thinking of weakness, that weakness will not go away, right? Vivekananda says beautifully here that disease was found as soon as human beings were born in this world. But always thinking that we are diseased will not help us. Medicine is necessary, right? Cure is necessary. That is why the Vedanta is pointing out to us, to our forgotten strength, which we have forgotten, our inner strength. It is showing us that, see, you are the Almighty. You can do anything and everything. You are the Almighty. That is what the Vedanta is teaching us again and again. It is teaching us the mantra of Abhi, that is the mantra of fearlessness, awakening the inner strength, having tremendous faith in us. And the another ideal, that is the ideal of oneness. There is also a beautiful teaching included in it. Swamiji beautifully has pointed it out. He said that this theory, this ideal of oneness, includes all the animals also. It leads us to the truth that all the animals are our brothers. That not only the brotherhood of human beings, but the brotherhood of all souls is established here in Vedanta. Okay, and that is why beautifully in the Ishopanishad it is saying that Tena tyaktena bhunjitha magridha kasya svidhanam. This sloka is saying that enjoy delight through sacrifice, just like a mother delights by sacrificing for her child. A lover delights by sacrificing for her beloved. Now one who realizes the truth, the unity of everything, then to him the whole world becomes his family. And can we covet anything from our dear brothers, from our beloved ones? Can we? We cannot, right? And the most striking point is that not only the wealth of human beings, but also the wealth of animals and nature should be protected by us because they are the very part and parcel of our family. And one who realizes the truth that we are not separate from each other, but actually we all are organically interrelated with each other, then he understands that when we covet someone, we actually somehow endangering ourselves. By injuring one, we actually are injuring ourselves indirectly. And the present day environmental crisis and the crisis of mental and physical health of us we are facing simultaneously today, that is the biggest proof of this fact, I think. And this is how we we came to the conclusion that the Vedanta as a philosophy of life and action, and also as the practical religion, as a religion is out and out practical. And the Vedanta gives us the most living God than other religions. And none can deny, I think, that here in the Vedanta lies the cure which our present society is seeking for. And here I would like to conclude with a Shanti mantra, that is following Vedanta. Let our motto from today should be praying the well-being for all. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhaga Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Kheya Roy, for a very nice presentation. Very lucidly and very nicely you tried to explain the concept. Well, we shall move to first of all our Sir Ranjit Ghosh sir, and then we'll move to Kailash Das sir, and then to Jayanti madam for their observations and questions. First of all, let us move to Ranjit Ghosh sir. Sir, namaskar sir, please. Ranjit Ghosh sir, yes, he's there. Sir, namaskar, please.
Hello.
Sir, audible, sir, audible.
Am I audible? So, I should thank the organizers of the philosophy family for arranging this type of lecture by young scholars, and this will definitely boost their interest for the subject, that is philosophy. Now, coming to this, and Kheya tonight, to this evening, has presented her views on practical Vedanta very nicely. But I think some modifications are to be, we have to think over that. Some modifications on Vivekananda's view. First, we have to distinguish between the Vedanta and practical Vedanta. Okay, so the spirit of Vedanta is being reflected in Vivekananda's philosophy, the same oneness, but the way Shankaracharya has presented it. I mean, first we have to see that whether one thing still it is a moot question, whether the spirit of Advaita Vedanta is transforming into the practical Vedanta, or any other form of Vedanta is having different forms. So Vivekananda is talking about Advaita Vedanta only, or other forms of Vedanta. So that means Vivekananda was not ready to discuss the metaphysical aspects of Vedanta. He has just brought the spirit of Vedanta, the essence of Vedanta, and put it in the form of practical Vedanta. And that is the oneness with oneself and with others. So that oneness, which I can realize within me, and I can also extend it to the others, to the entire humanity. So that is the way of putting practical Vedanta. Or else the thing is just a person who is not is uninitiated in the things. He cannot just think about the difference between the Vedanta and practical Vedanta. But in any case, you have it is definitely a commendable job you have done. Thank you very much. Try to think over this. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Kheya, would you like to say something?
Thank you, sir. That is all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, Professor Ranjit Ghosh, sir. Well, we have with us Kala Das, sir. Well, he is, well, I request him to have his observations and his questions for Kheya. Namaskar, sir, please.
Namaskar. Namaskar, Ranjit Babu. So, I could not listen to the first portion of because I joined a bit late. But anyway, I could make it that each, this is a very lucid and very relevant topic she has taken. But my submission is that is Vivekananda of the opinion that Vedanta has become an armchair philosophy or armchair metaphysics. So from the caves and from the jungle, which was to be practiced by the rishis, has to come to our day-to-day life. Even a teacher, a student, and a family man, those are very much in our day-to-day life. Vedanta can be utilized. It is not something which is there to be practiced only by the learned scholars, and it is not purely meant for speculations by metaphysicians. This is also can be guiding principle for day-to-day life of all strata of life, in whichever capacity people are there. Vedanta can be um, very practically useful for them, even if you are a daily wage earner, or even if you are a professor. From the very lower bottom of the human beings to the very highest, everybody can be guided by the principle of Vedanta. And exactly what he means by saying that what is that thing that you need, the spirituality of Vedanta can be of use if it is can be distinguished from an ethical teaching there. So will you kindly elucidate this? Otherwise, I was very happy to know that all these things, maybe you would have said all these things when I was not listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, would you kindly repeat the last question because I could not understand the last question just.
The last question is that Vivekananda was making his spiritual aspect of Vedanta as ethical aspect. Does he mean spiritual and ethical same, or he differs? Which is very relevant or practical of a practical use for everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. Um, Sir, when we come to Vedanta, we see we cannot make a watertight distinction between metaphysics and ethics, between because these two are intertwined together. Here, when we come to Vedanta, we find this. When Vivekananda is trying to show that how Vedanta is out and out practical, is very much practicable in our day-to-day life by each one of us, he is first of all taking us to the metaphysics, to the teachings of the Vedanta. That is, like in gist, we can say that the very core teaching of the Vedanta, core metaphysical teaching, is one is the oneness of everything, or the unity of all existence, and to the secondly is the second teaching is the spirituality, that is that the divinity in man, or yeah, these are the main core two teachings of Vedanta in metaphysics. Now from here, if we come to ethical portion, from here, from Vivekananda is extracting the ethical portion, and from the very first principle, that is the unity of everything. Here, from here comes from this principle, the ethical quote, the ethical principle which extracts from here is the concept of tyaga, or is the principle of tyaga, which is beautifully discussed in the very first sloka of the Isha Upanishada, that teno tyaktena bhunjitha magridha kasya siddhanam, just because this whole world is covered by the same Lord. And if we and this is not just a stipulation, because when we look in our day-to-day life, in the very food circles in nature, then we can find that how much sacrifice is necessary for us to survive, right? Like each day, each portion, some portion, the nature is sacrificing some portion for us. That is why we are surviving. We are eating rice, fish, and like that. That is why we are surviving. And again, further, like this is how it is. And for our survival, just the way the nature is sacrificing for the survival of the animals and the nature, we also should sacrifice some portion. So from the principle of unity of everything, there is coming the principle of tyaga, that is coming in the ethics portion. And when we are coming to the principle, to the another teaching, the second teaching of the Vedanta, that is the divinity of man. From here, what principle is coming? In ethics, it is coming having tremendous faith in oneself. That is what Swami Vivekananda is trying to understand by the word spirituality here. He is saying that one who does not believe in himself or herself is called atheist. Right. So I think, sir, here Swamiji is putting emphasis on both spirituality as well as ethics, both the metaphysics and ethics portion of Vedanta, because one with the other is not possible to establish here. These both are intertwined with each other. They both go hand in hand here. So that is my response. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kheya, for a beautiful exposition. Well, in a line.
Kheya, I have one suggestion. You try to project practical Vedanta as a form of humanism, because it is a form of extended humanism, you can say, because it is going from myself to others. And Tagore and Vivekananda both are the proponents of this type of extended humanism. So that is the spirit of practical Vedanta. Because when you put into the philosophy of action, then automatically it becomes it transcends its metaphysical leanings. It becomes a way of life for us, for all. That is humanism. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Professor
so much.
Ghosh.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Professor Ghosh and Professor Kaladhar, sir. Well, one thing here has very nicely pointed out that the ideal of a sort of faith in one's own self, that we are all spirits. And she says this realization is important. Okay, to find a path for unity with all. And in this unity, there comes a selfless service. And in selfless service, what reflects is one's morality. And their ethics, okay, plays a role. And this spirit, the spiritual aspect, somehow gets transformed to the ethical aspect. So the point that Kheya is saying is we are all essentially spirits because of the spiritual aspect, and this spirit gets explicit through our selfless service. Okay, and there in this selfless service, there is no other. Okay, there is no other. There is an essential unity in everything. So when you say selfless service, okay, she also says in injuring others, you are injuring your own self. That means an injury to the other is injury to the own self. That means there is the negation of the other. So that's how she tries to connect the teaching of Vedanta, that oneness of all, the unity, the essential unity of everything, and she's trying to bring into the world, okay, through the moral aspect, through the ethical aspect, through the selfless service. So very beautifully she has tried to explain this. Thank you, Kheya, for this. Now we have with us Jayanti Madam. Well, I request her to have her observation.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, and sir, namaskar. Ranjit sir, namaskar. So actually, the point which I was trying to make already being raised by Ranjit sir. Okay, so there is a kind of, you have to have a kind of modification, because when you talk about the practical Vedanta of Swami Vivekananda, do you mean to say that Vedanta was never being practical before Vivekananda? Okay, so that is one thing, because these days it is very fashionable or to say that something like Buddhism engaged Buddhism. So a kind of thing that whether Buddhism was not engaged before, the previous Buddhism was never engaged. So this kind of thinking, when you try to relate practical Vedanta of Swami Vivekananda, you have done a wonderful work, but you have to extensively bring some Advaita Vedanta, and you have to relate the concept with the practical Vedanta, and where things are being changing, or the same thing he wants to retain, or to project it in a different form. So that is what my suggestion is, that otherwise the paper was good, and the suggestion which Ranjit sir has already given, you should take that humanism idea also. So it's a good paper, so you can develop. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Madam. Well,
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we have with us our admin, Professor Pramod Kumar Das. Well, before, sir, please, before I call him, well, one more thing from Kheya, please. Well, when we talk of, Rabindranath Tagore is also brought in to the picture now. Well, he speaks of spiritual humanism. Is there any brand for for Swami Vivekananda? What sort of humanism that he suggests? Well, any brand for say what sort of humanism that he suggests? Well, Ranjit Ghosh sir was trying to ask this question. Okay, is there any name that has been given to the form of humanism? Well, even in practical Vedanta, what we find is nothing but humanism. Is there any particular name suggested for the kind of humanism that we see in Swami Vivekananda?
Thank you, sir. When we come to Rabindranath Tagore, we like when we come to contemporary philosophers, contemporary Indian philosophers, somehow we find that they are trying to indicate, like Tagore and Vivekananda, they are trying to indicate to the same truth, but they are using different terminologies just. I find it so. And Tagore has used the word humanism in his work. And when we come to Vivekananda, as much I have read Vivekananda, I think that he used the word universal religion in place of it. He is showing that this Vedanta, which he is in this paper, he's like in his practical Vedanta, he's showing that how Vedanta is very much practicable in our day-to-day life. In his universal religion, where he is discussing Vedanta, he's showing that Vedanta gives us such a religion which can be universally practiced. So
Yes,
I
thank you.
think
Thank you.
that Swami
Thank
Vivekananda
you.
is using
Professor Ghosh
unique
wants to say something. Yes. Dr. Ghosh, please, sir.
You can very well just prior to giving an exposition of a universal religion, you can say Vivekananda's variety of humanism is an extended humanism, because it wants to cover all. As you have started by saying the nature and all these things. The Tagore and Vivekananda both are they are proponents in Tagore. We, because of his Gitanjali, and we say that it's a form of spiritual humanism. But we can use the word extended humanism for Vivekananda. You try to explore on this and try to find out if there are some supporters or those who are not ready to accept it as a form of extended humanism. So that is the spirit of research. Carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh,
Thank you so much.
for the new coinage of say extended humanism. Well, research can be done on this. Thank you very much, sir. Well, let's move to Professor Pramod Madas, sir, for his observation and questions. Well, welcome, sir.
Today I have decided that I shall not speak. I shall just listen to all, because all are very dear to me. And she made a very good attempt, practical Vedanta, when she is trying to expose. Just one sentence I shall say that as Jayanti Madam said that whether Vedanta was practical or not, that Vivekananda made it practical. Actually, Vedanta is always practical. By practical means, Vivekananda made it easy for common people. Okay, so that each and every person can practice Vedanta. But the important thing is Vivekananda preferred Vedanta. Vivekananda did not prefer Sankhya philosophy. Vivekananda did not prefer Naya Vaisheshika system or a pluralistic model. So Vivekananda preferred Vedanta. That shows his interest in Vedanta. And he was so interested, he tried to make it easy for the common people. Okay. Second thing is Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Vivekananda changed the notion of Mithya. He changed the definition of Maya also. Maya is not illusion. Maya is a fact of, it is a fact. Contradiction is a fact. And so far as humanism is concerned, if we are worried about the interest of the common man, that everybody will have Vedantic wisdom, this is humanism. That how the very valuable wisdom will be an asset of a common man. And Vivekananda believes in 4 types of yoga: karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, raj yoga. There are many. Kheya should have done one thing, that he should have made certain differences. Vedanta of Shankara and Vedanta interpreted by Vivekananda. There are many points of differences. For example, Vivekananda is speaking about 4 yogas. Vivekananda is speaking about that Jagat is not mithya. Okay, so these are the very, in that way he is trying to make this practical, that a common man can understand Vedanta in a better way. So practical Vedanta means to live with Vedantic wisdom. We have to live with. Thank you, thank you. This is a very good attempt. We shall. They are coming forward and they are speaking on this platform. I really salute the effort of young scholars. Now we shall go to Kashmira Murmu. Over to Rao sir.
Thank you, Professor Das. Well, I should thank Kheya Roy for her attempt, and also thank her for the way she tried to respond. She's growing up and very confident in her responses. So thank you, Kheya, for this. Now let's move to